Good day, everyone. This is Sir Salt and Pepper with my first ever video on YouTube, wanting to bring you guys some Dwarf Fortress today. As you saw at the start of the video, there are the settings for this specific world. And right here, we're just loading everything in for the world to be able to take place. The nice thing about this game is that it is randomly generated every time you start a new world, so you can have the same exact settings that I have for this world, but when you create your world, it'll be significantly different, which I think will be really nice for replayability. Will give you a lot of things to be able to do for each world throughout this game. For this world, I had it set for 100 years of history, so we see that in the top left-hand corner getting written as everything is being created. So there's just some of the history there. Alright, go ahead and clicked on Play World, so now it's saving everything, it's trying to get everything loaded in now. It does take a little time, but I would imagine it won't take as long after everything is loaded and then reloading this world in the future. Of course, that's to initially save everything that's done. So game type to begin, just go and click on Fortress, keep it nice and simple. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is between both of the game types. Whenever you load into a new world, you are given the option to start the tutorial. I've at least ran through a little bit of that, so I'm not going to do that for this time. So right now, just trying to get an overview of what the map is like, what kinds of terrains are available. You can go either right by the water, or you can try to go for a more mountainous region. Just depends on what your preference is. So here we have some forests, some mountain shrublands. It does also give you other information such as the general temperature, the amount of wood that you'll get from the trees, any amount of other vegetation, and what the kinds of surroundings will be like. That little yellow overlay is actually how the original Dwarf Fortress used to look. This version that I'm playing is one that you can get on Steam. The original one you can get for free online, and it used ASCII style graphics to show everything in the game. And so that's what that little overlay was. It was from the original ASCII graphics. Yep, I'm just going to leave everything default for this initial world. Everything's getting loaded up real quick. And of course, just a basic introduction. Whenever you start a new world, you can pause and read that if you would like to. Yep, and so each new game is going to start with you having a cart full of just a few dwarves, a few animals, and from here you're going to need to do whatever you need to in order to build your fortress. So in this case, what I'm doing is getting a stairwell set up so that we have access to the underground. And what I'm doing is just trying to get a small plot of earth mined up, just to make sure I have that all squared away, making sure everything's fine there. And then once that's taken care of, we'll go ahead and just build a lot more, or start mining out a lot more earth, so that way we're able to have a lot more space to store a bunch of items later. I haven't played this game too much yet, so still taking me a little bit of time to get used to where everything is, how some of the controls work, of course. But yeah, everything was marked with a little mining symbol. So our little dwarf here, Rigolf, is going to town trying to getting all of that stuff mined up. Yep, and each little dwarf has their own little personality, their own traits, their own values, stuff like that. And yeah, you can just click on them and see what exactly makes them tick, so to speak. So what I'm doing here is I'm setting some dwarves to gather any fruits, leaves, and any other kind of vegetation that are available in the area, just trying to make it a little more clean going forward. Also getting a bunch of trees chopped down so that we have plenty of wood to build stuff going forward. As we can see, we have plenty of space to work with now, so go and get a stockpile set up. And here I had forgotten that I had to click on accept in the top left hand corner. So click accept, and then you can name the stockpile as you want and set if you want any specific item to go in there. Starting out, just selecting all will be fine. But as you get a lot more space, you'll more likely want to set specific kinds of items to go into each stockpiles just to keep everything more organized without having to dig through a bunch of areas trying to see where anything is. So as we can see, all our dwarves are just bringing everything down under, and of course it is starting to get a little cramped down here, so we're going to start getting a lot more space dug out. So that's what we're doing here, just saying, a lot more tiles set to mining. Once that's all set, as you can see, our little dwarf is once again proceeding to spend many hours trying to get this stone mined up, as is the dwarven lifestyle. You go, little dwarf, we salute you. Anyway, on the surface, we have a couple of our doors that aren't really doing much. A little bit of an overview on a couple of them as well. Not exactly sure what I was trying to do here. Just checking back on our mining dwarf. And this is a brief overview as to some of the things that are available. What I'm doing here is actually getting a stoneworker's workshop set up, trying to see if it'd be best to put it above ground or underground. I go to put it underground just because I see dwarves working underground a lot. I know they do work above ground as well. Just thought starting out it'd be ideal to keep everything more secure, keep it underground. So that is set up. Now, for each workshop, you are given a bunch of different tasks that workshop is able to do. So, in this case, you could engrave a memorial slab. You can make a bunch of different rock items, and it's similar for any kind of workshop that you make, whether it be a carpenter's workshop, a farmer's workshop. The main difference will just be the types of tasks that are offered, as well as what materials will be needed to complete those tasks. I will say, the soundtrack for this game is quite nice. It's really very calming. Just some nice music to kind of throw on in the background, and just have it as even white noise, but it is a very beautiful soundtrack. My compliments to the composer. Okay, and so here what I'm trying to do is trying to start getting some walls set up to get rooms built for my dwarves. That way they have more set places to be able to rest and sleep at night. And of course, you can select if there's a specific material that you want used for them, but starting out, we don't have access to a lot, so whatever material we have access to and is closest is fine. Yeah, of course, first you don't have too many dwarves, so it's not going to be going that quick yet. One thing that you are able to do is you are able to set the priority of tiles, and so if you want to make one big square a certain level or what have you, you can set that to be mined, and then from there you can set any amount of tiles to be a different priority. So again, let's say you have one big square, but you want the top left corner to be dug out first. You can set that to a higher priority than the other corners. Now, of course, here I tried placing a door, but I don't actually have one built, so of course we need to go ahead and get that taken care of. So I go into my stoneworkers workshop, look for the make rock door option. Takes me a little bit to realize what that is. I click on it, and then I see almost immediately that the task is removed from the list. So here I am thinking that I have the door built, but of course that does not seem to be the case. So I'm wondering what is going on. Like, everything should have been built correctly, and I'm just trying to see what I can do in order to make a rock door come out of that workshop. Yep, so I paused the game here a little bit, just trying to see what some of the different buttons for each task mean, just trying to see if there's a way to like force it to happen. So in this case, what I'm doing is I see we have a stone crafter, Irith, and so I set him to the stoneworkers workshop, thinking that maybe the issue is just that there's not someone available to work on it, or there's not someone specialized for that kind of work. So I set him to it in order to try and make that work. So seeing as how we have a lot more space available to us now, I'm going to go ahead and make a few more stockpiles so that we're able to get a lot more of our materials underground for safekeeping. And of course I see that I still do not have a door made somehow, which I was confused by at first because of course we had mined a whole lot of stone, so it didn't really make too much sense for us to not have a stone door made yet. I think I was a little confused seeing that Irith was set as no job, as you see in yellow to the right of his little portrait, which I was a bit confused by because I had set him to the stoneworkers workshop as we see here. So I'm trying to see if there's a way that I'm able to force him to do what I'm trying to get the workshop to do. Now, looking back on it, the issue was probably I just didn't have the correct materials. Like, even though I had stone, it might not have been the correct type of stone. And so here I'm trying to select a specific material or see at least what is available, see if that might be an issue. Or that might be the issue. Once again, I'm going through the workshops. I believe I might have been looking for the carpenter's workshop. Just that way I'd be able to start woodworking and get this issue resolved. Some of the items I feel could be laid out a little more obviously. Now up here, I see that we have access to farming, so I'm thinking, okay, this is probably a good idea. Get a good source of food set up for my dwarves for the time to come. So I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go ahead and get this set up. Of course, using whatever material is available and closest. Just get a small plot set up and we'll expand it as needed. What I'm doing there is, once again, having dwarves gather some fruit and leaves and chopping down whatever wood is within the path of the farm tiles, just to make it as clean as possible. Yep, and as we see there, everything is being taken care of, being moved down to the stockpiles. So at this point, since I have some farm plots set down, I go ahead and get a farmer's workshop set up. And like I said earlier, even though this is a workshop, it's a different type, so it's going to have different tasks. What we can do, for example, you can make cheese, you can milk an animal, you can process plants. All of which I'm sure will come in will be very handy in the future. Our one little dwarf is making some great progress on mining out this lower level. Once again, your country salutes you. There we go, and I finally find the carpenter's workshop, so we get that set up, so we can finally start making beds, make doors, and actually get rooms set up for our dwarves. If I recall correctly, I believe that was driving me a little crazy for some time. Yes, in this case, we're able to make a wooden door. You see a little green check mark near that task, so that means that you do have materials to do it, someone is going to do it, and it was removed from the task list, which in this case means that it was done and we now have that item available to us. So in this case, I go ahead and place a door for that room, and finally this room has a door. Yep, so I see here that I need to make a bed, so I check in the carpenter's workshop. There it is right there, the make bed option. Of course, there are a lot of other things that you're able to build as well. This game is actually really in-depth with what you're able to do. Really like that about this game. It seems confusing at first, and it kind of is, not going to lie. But once again, everything being randomized from the world to the history on each new world it just gives a lot of replay value to this game, and I'm very excited to be able to bring this to you guys and just have a great time with every one of you. So I think here I was trying to see how exactly I get the wall set up because it had been just a little bit and I had forgotten where that was. I didn't recall that it had to, or that you select the constructions option, and then from there you can specifically select a wall. Yep, so there I finally find where to build the walls, so I'm getting those set up. And once I unpause the game, my dwarves will proceed to build. So of course with each new room being built, I want to get more beds and more doors set up. So once again you see that green check mark, so those tasks do have the resources in order to be able to do them, and they will be taken care of as soon as possible. Going up top to the farmer's workshop, just going to have it start doing a bunch of various tasks just to kind of see what exactly we can get. Yep, so there we go, placing a bed in the room, getting a door set up, and now there's an actual room for my dwarves to start using. Here I'm just seeing some of the various things I'm able to build as well, so you can build supports if you're trying to build tunnels, I would presume. Extending the wall out a little bit to get another room set up for my dwarves. So I see here that I am out of stone, which was actually a little surprising to see, considering how much room our dwarf had made. So what I do here is once I set that one room up with a bed, I believe now I go ahead and I make a lot more space for our dwarf to start mining out, because we need stone. These walls are not going to build themselves. Going forward, it'd actually not be a bad idea to take rooms into consideration when mining, so that way you don't have to take the stone and replace walls that you could have left in the first place. Now, one thing about workshops is that the topmost task will be done first. So it's not like you can set 5 tasks to a workshop and they'll all be done at the same time. No, it's one task at a time. At least with the few doors that we have. I don't know if that changes when you get a lot more doors. Because eventually, once your fortress gets large enough, you'll start attracting many other dwarves and creatures. So there what I did is I set the make bed option to continuously loop as much as it is able to. Same for the make wooden door option. So it is a bit of a lengthy process getting everything set up to start with, but I'm sure my dwarves are really happy being able to have a bed to sleep in finally. I would assume that is much better than sleeping on the ground. Now, right there, as you saw, I had set the make bed and make wooden door option or tasks back up. So those tasks will actually be removed from the list if they are unable to be completed anymore. Now, as you saw there, I accidentally opened up the squad menu. Not exactly sure how to fully utilize that yet, but I'm pretty sure that will be used a lot more once military operations begin. At this point, I'm just trying to get a lot more wood, get a lot more plants and other vegetation. Not only to have more resources, but also to just kind of make this place look a little cleaner. Now, at this point, I had noticed that this dog had a low HP rating, so I was clicking on it to see what exactly had happened, because as far as I had known, nothing had happened. But as I had seen going to the combat tab, there was some stuff that did happen that I was not aware of, and after that, I finally see that there are a bunch of notifications on the left-hand side of my screen. So I'm just going through those, seeing what exactly they say, and then dismissing them as needed. Once again, just continuing to chop down more trees and take care of the fruits, leaves, and other vegetation. As we can see below there, we have struck a new type of material. I don't recall the name of it off the top of my head. But what I do here is, since we have a lot more space, going to go ahead and create a couple new stockpiles. And at this point, I decided to go ahead and start getting some stone stockpiles set up. Want to get that organization taken care of right away, especially with the space we have now, and it's only going to increase as this series continues. It is going to be ideal to make sure that there's a clear idea as to where everything is, so that way it's not as confusing later. Now, I had noticed that what I had done was just set two stone stockpiles next together, so what I'm doing here is I'm repainting the size of the first stockpile to make it all one. So what I'm doing down here is doing the exact same thing that I did for the stone stockpiles, but now this is going to be for wood specifically. So as we can see, our dwarves are bringing materials in as they are being made, and once everything gets filled up in the all type stockpiles, and they should be stored into their wood or stone stockpiles. I would just like to thank every one of you guys for watching this video. Please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel out. Feel free to leave a comment. Tell me what you think of this video and of this series. And yeah, thank you guys so much for your time. Have a great day.